It has been 2 months or so, such around there, since we have been physically together in the fellowship of worship. This has been difficult for many of us, since the bonds we have made with each other have been very much a part of our lives, and now we're separated. Hopefully for us, it will be like the old saying, absence makes the heart grow fonder. This may very well be true, since in a very strange way, being a member of the body of Christ may have taken on new meaning for us. The absence of physically meeting together could very well strengthen our need and desire to experience the meaning of being a member of the body of Christ, the fellowship of believers. Out of this could be a renewal in the future life of the church. Hopefully, for us, absence will make the heart grow fonder. It just may take this crisis to give new life within the church upon the realization of the importance of being a member of the fellowship of believers. Now, with the gradual reopening of society, even when the virus is still a threat, we must be patient and we must be wise to the immediate steps we as the church should take. We must realize that when the doors open again, though, that although we will be together, it will not be at first the same as usual. Most likely, social distancing will be the norm. Many will be fearful to get back into any resemblance of normalcy until the pandemic is neutralized. For our society as a whole, fear will be the next obstacle to overcome. Even when the virus is under control, fear will linger on, and this is very natural. But fear must eventually be conquered. Nelson Mandela once said, quote, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." Fear is not new to the followers of Christ. From the very beginning, we are told that after the crucifixion, the disciples met behind closed doors out of fear. It was not popular among the Jews to be a follower of Christ, even being ridiculed and harassed for their beliefs. Many instances, the authorities encouraged their persecution and even execution. As Christianity rapidly spread across the Roman Empire, Christians were seen as a threat to the Roman social order, which resulted in Christians being persecuted and even put to death. To be a Christian during these early years and centuries was to know and live the daily reality of fear. In many cases, they could not be seen worshiping, and therefore could only meet together in small gatherings. In some ways, this could be labeled social distancing out of the fear to be seen together and reported to the authorities. Although being persecuted, the early church not only survived, but it grew. They lived with and minimized their fear through the cautions they took. They met in homes and even in underground tombs at times when they would least be detected. But even with the cautions they took, fear remained in their lives. Ultimately, their fear was overtaken by their strong faith. Just listen to Peter's words to those early followers living in fear. He wrote, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that he may exalt you in due time. Cast all your anxiety on him, because he cares for you. Discipline yourselves. Keep alert. Like a roaring lion, your adversary, the devil, prowls around you, looking for someone to devour you. Resist him, steadfast in your faith, for you know that your brothers and sisters in all the world are undergoing the same kinds of sufferings." End of quote. Perhaps these words of Peter are now easier to understand than any time we may have read them in the past. That is exactly where we are, even though the circumstances may be different. We are being challenged. But Peter states, we must get beyond our anxieties, because no matter what, we are in God's care. This was affirmed by Jesus in our gospel lesson today. In his prayer, he acknowledged the fact that his followers would suffer for their beliefs. He stated after his resurrection and before his ascension, quote, "And now I am no longer on the world, but they," that's his disciples, "are in the world. And I am coming to you, Holy Father. Protect them in your name that you have given me, so that they may be one as we are one." This is the promise that God's presence is with us through all our trying times. This is what gave comfort and strength to overcome fear in all those early Christians, and it is there for us today. Knowing God's presence is with us throughout our trials is a reminder that we are not alone. God's presence in each of us makes us realize that we are one with all of our brothers and sisters throughout the world who are also suffering. Peter gives us this reminder that together with all of our brothers and sisters, we are to remain disciplined and alert, remaining steadfast in our faith. This common faith gives us the strength to endure our times of trial, our times of separation. Although we may not be able to physically be together in hearing and sharing our lives and our witness, we still remain one in the presence of God. We still can extend our love for each other by being disciplined as to when and how we are able to unite in our worship together. Regardless, we are still the living body of Christ, the fellowship of believers, the church in today's turbulent times. To know that our fear will eventually be overcome, giving us hope and the joy of anticipation when we shall gather together again. When this happens, It will be a time of true thanksgiving and celebration. And then with the psalmist, we will be able to proclaim, sing to God, O kingdoms of the earth, sing praises to the Lord. How wonderful you are in your holy place, O God of Israel, giving strength and power to your people, blessed by God. Amen.